Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Our Cut the Clutter episode 748, where we talked about the possibility or new revelations on whether the COVID-19 virus could be a lab engineered virus that escaped, that is still buzzing. It's now nearing 2 million views, which is a record for us. So thank you very much. The fact, however, is that that story is only now gathering more fuel, in the sense that that story is really taking off now, because that the particular Cut the Clutter episode that we did last week, that was based on a long article written by the well-known British science writer Nicholas Wade, who used to be the science editor of the New York Times earlier. He's a veteran taken very seriously, and he picked up a lot of research and sources to say that you cannot definitely rule out the possibility that this virus was lab made through what is called as gain of function research. Gain of function is, in biology, when you let an organism replicate or you help it replicate in such a way that it also keeps on mutating, which in that case changes its basic nature or makes it something else. So it can enable or engineer a virus or a bug to replicate in such a manner that it becomes more lethal or more infectious to human beings. So that is why that found so much attention, and now this is buzzing across the world. These are not just conspiracy theories. Once again, I have to be very careful. We are not saying it is biological warfare of any kind. In fact, nobody is saying it's biological warfare. So there are two sides to the debate. One that says that, look, you have to make too many presumptions and you have to then look into too many uncertainties and too many questions that are unanswered to jump to the conclusion that this was a lab engineered virus that escaped. So this has to be a virus that got produced in nature. The other side, which is now gathering strength, earlier they were dismissed as conspiracy theorists, and I think they also suffered from the fact that Donald Trump it was who first called it the Chinese virus and who first started talking about a lab escape theory. Now, anything that Donald Trump said at that point got caught up in this polarized debate, as it happens in our country also, in all over the world, particularly democratic world. So that was then dismissed, but now it's gathering quite a bit of support among the larger scientific community. Also, Biden administration and many of the other countries, including India, don't talk very much about it because nobody wants to take pangas with China. But this is now picking up, and the reason we are talking about this today is that a bunch of things happened over the weekend, particularly late last night, say around 2 a.m. when I got my Wall Street Journal alerts. One of the alerts was a story they were breaking. It was an exclusive, and the story, and I'm sharing the story link with you and also a screenshot. The story says that in November 2019, now mark these timings very carefully, November 2019, the first case of coronavirus 19 or COVID-19 in Wuhan was reported officially on December 8. And then more came up later in December, by which time it got established that this was a new kind of pneumonia, as they said. Initially, it was seen as some pneumonia they were not able to understand. Anyway, so in November, 3 key researchers in the Wuhan lab, this Wall Street Journal story, it's quite an explosive revelation. They say in November, 3 key researchers from the same Wuhan lab had sought hospitalization with a pneumonia-like illness. Now that is something which had not been disclosed so far. They also quote US intelligence sources for having said this. So that is the big provocation. As it happened, and I began reading up late at night, I found some stuff on some right-wing or pro-Republican websites and Twitter handles quoting Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, as having said something, as having finally said that maybe the origins of the virus needed more investigation. Now, I thought that since this is only popping up on these pre-Republican websites, and you can imagine that they are more likely to be conspiracy theorists than the rest. And I read up a bit more. Now, these were based on an interview he had given last week to a publication called PolitiFact.com. Now, PolitiFact.com is by no means right wing. It is very liberal, very mainstream. It is actually owned by the Poynter Institute. It's a non-profit. So, Anthony Fauci gave an interview to one of its editors, that is Katie Sanders. In that interview, he said a bunch of things which I will share with you on the screen. In fact, as I speak with you, you will find exactly that passage. Katie Sanders asking him the question and Anthony Fauci's answer running. So please read this carefully, because he's saying now for the first time that while he's saying that it's preposterous, it is a majestic leap of fantasy or something like that, to say that he or his institute funded any gain of function research at Wuhan Institute of Virology, where this terrible virus emerged, terrible unique virus emerged. He also is not sure where it came from, and he fully supports the idea that investigations into the origins of the virus, including in China, should carry on. That's a change. So that is the other thing that changed. With this also came out a long article, again a 6,000-7,000 word article. We had quoted from Nicholas Wade, which was 11 or 12,000 words. This is 6,000-7,000 words on PolitiFact.com. And this article also then gives you pros and cons, arguments from both sides. One is the side that says it escaped from a lab and is man-made or human-made. The other side that says it is just a very clever animal virus which had its zoonotic evolution and came to hit human beings. It's very easily adaptable to human infection. So this article in great detail lists all the pros and cons. And finally, there is a statement by a spokesperson of the National Security Council of the US, also given to Wall Street Journal as a part of this article that we are sharing with you. And this article, which has caused today's Cut the Clutter to happen, and which has got me to revisit the issue I discussed only a week back. And the NSC spokesperson says that they are not ruling out any possibilities. There are questions about where this came from, how this came from China. I will read the exact statement to you in a bit. And this should be investigated. Now, this again tells you that Biden administration is not just dumping this theory because it came from Donald Trump. Maybe because Donald Trump stated it in such an upfront and such a politicized manner, and given how polarized the American debate was at that point, it wasn't taken that seriously. But now for Biden administration to say this, if anybody thought they will dismiss this Wall Street Journal story out of hand, it did not happen. In fact, if you ask me, it's quite possible that this leak, intelligence leak, took place at this time because WHO is about to have its big meeting on what to do next with the origins of COVID-19, because the last investigation that they carried out in China had left a lot of people dissatisfied and a lot of people angry. In fact, many governments, including the US, from US to New Zealand to Germany, EU, many governments had expressed their dissatisfaction with that investigation, which frankly said nothing. That investigation was as pointless and as faltu as, I would say, the reports of most of our inquiry commissions into communal riots. So and so was to blame, so and so was to blame. Who was more to blame, we don't know. Meanwhile, strengthen the police. Usual jo hota hai hamare yahan, platitudes. So that inquiry was a bit like that. Now, as we talk in some detail about this, there are a few names that we should remember, and I'll mention those to you. One is Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky. Rand Paul is quite a prominent figure. He's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. He's also among those who had questioned the 2020 election results. So he's got a bad name in that lot. He's also very popular with Fox News, which is America's sort of America's commando comic channel, let me say that. Or Fox News is Fox News. Every other channel, commando comic channel around the world, tends to be as good or as bad as Fox News. So he's also a Fox News star, I mean, in the sense that he's interviewed there often. But he has a sizable presence in American political debate because he is from a family of Republicans. His father was a 12-term representative. He himself is well educated. He's an ophthalmologist who's had a practice. He also was among those contesting for or competing for Republican nomination in 2016 when Trump got selected to be the Republican candidate. So he's not a nobody, and he questioned Fauci in his Senate hearings. That led to some of these questions being asked, and also this can of worm being just loosened a little bit, not opened but loosened a little bit. Second is the name of Professor Ralph Baric. We had mentioned him in our episode 748 also. Now, Professor Ralph Baric, he is professor of epidemiology, microbiology and immunology at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Now, we had mentioned him because he is somebody that Shi Zhengli, the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology researcher, or the Bat Woman as she's called, she trained with, and she trained with him in doing engineering stuff on viruses. So, if she was carrying out any gain of function, it's possible that she learned her stuff from Ralph Baric, and Ralph Baric was initially the supporter of the idea that this was purely a zoonotically evolved virus that had nothing to do with the labs. But now he is a co-signatory along with 17 other prominent scientists to a letter published by Science, the big reputed journal Science, asking for a fresh look into where this virus came from. So he is important. Third is Anthony Fauci, who needs no introduction, and fourth also is somebody that we know very well, that is Shi Zhengli. Now, as I go forward and deeper into this, and a lot of this will be based on this Poynter Institute paper, Politico Fact paper, and also on the Wall Street article, plus a lot else that has come up since we spoke last time. This is now what a T20 commentator would call a humdinger, because this story is now opening up. Let us see what WHO does now. But before I do that, let me also answer a question that many of our foreign viewers and subscribers keep asking me, which is that if they are NRIs or if they are foreign citizens, can they still contribute to the print? Can they still be paid subscribers? So the short answer is you most certainly can. You are not giving us a donation. These are subscriptions. You pay for our service, and everything you pay for us, we record as our revenues, and everything is now then open and available and offered to tax. So just as you pay for the New York Times, you pay for the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, you might pay for the Hindu in India, or anybody, exactly the same way you pay for us. There is no legal implication there, because we are not a non-profit. At least we hope we will make profits one day. And also everything you pay for us is a paid subscription. It's revenue, it is taxable in our hands. So that out of the way, I am back now to this virus issue. Now, this Politico Fact article is under a double byline. In fairness, I should mention those bylines, although I will share a screenshot of the front page of the article and the rest of the full article as a link with the description. So Tom Kirschner and Noah Kim, in a long article, they look at all the possibilities. So what are the three big points that emerge from this article? Number one, that this virus resembles many natural viruses, but it is not, we have not found it in nature as yet. So it is not that different that somebody said, oh, this Frankenstein has been created that we knew nothing about. This looks very similar, extremely similar to many viruses found in nature. At the same time, so far scientists have not been able to pick it up from any natural source except human beings who are getting infected. So no animal source. Let me qualify it further. Number two, there are different definitions of what is called as gain of function research. So one is a simple definition, that is letting microorganisms replicate in a manner that they can mutate freely. But in these times, this has gone further, and this has now gone through so many different definitions that scientists, as this article says, they can talk past each other. Somebody can say this is gain of function, and somebody can say this is not gain of function. But gain of function in this context, as I said to you just a couple of minutes back, is letting or helping a virus, bacteria, a bug, a pathogen replicate, reproduce itself in such a way that it can keep mutating and it, in a manner that it becomes more infectious or more lethal to human beings. So, these are things to understand. Now, as you understand this, then the third point that we need to understand is that in Wuhan Institute of Virology, reverse genetics on bat coronaviruses was going on, and this reverse genetics was to produce the kind of coronaviruses not found in nature. This is not to say that this COVID-19, which is afflicting all of us across the world, was one of the viruses developed. That is what needs to be found out. But the fact that this Wuhan Institute of Virology lab was reverse engineering coronaviruses to create entirely new kinds of coronaviruses not found in nature is now established. That's an important leap going ahead. Now, some of these questions came up when Rand Paul in that Senate hearing was questioning Anthony Fauci. So, he asked him that is it true that you gave money for this research and that's how this virus was created. So, his exact question is, Dr. Fauci, we don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. Good point, who can disagree with it? Then he says, to arrive at the truth, US government must admit that Wuhan Institute of Virology was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. Now, that is something to which I suspect or I can see that Anthony Fauci finally said that these are things that should be investigated. Then Rand Paul, or Dr. Rand Paul, because he is an ophthalmologist, he goes on to say, again I quote, juicing up the virus is not new. Scientists in the US have long known how to mutate animal viruses to infect humans. Now, that is an interesting sort of a revelation that in America, in labs, they've been working on animal viruses and engineering them in such a way that they can infect humans. Then he says, for years, Ralph Baric, remember we told you to mark that name, for years, Professor Ralph Baric of North Carolina, and Shi Zhengli, the Batwoman, for years, Ralph Baric and Shi Zhengli have been working on how to create super viruses. This is gain of function research, and this was funded by the National Institute of Health and by implication National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which Anthony Fauci heads. In fact, he's headed it for almost 4 decades, I think 37 or 38 years now, through 7 presidents, as he mentioned in this interview to Politico Fact. Now, to this, Fauci said a categorical no. He said this is a preposterous idea, you should not say this, and he said that they might have used reverse engineering, but gain of function no, and also that his institute gave some money to another institution in New York called EcoHealth Alliance, which gave away some money to universities or institutions around the world to research viruses, but this was not given for gain of function research. Now, gain of function research, like everything else in science, has 2 sides, in the sense that there are people it's polarizing, people who support it, people who oppose it. People who support it simply say that, look, unless you do things to get ahead of the viruses in the race, you will always be chasing them. So, it's good to see what else can viruses can do with themselves, how can they become worse, as long as they are secure and in the lab, and we can then use these to make vaccines or to deal with viruses if they really, because they are mischievous, deal with viruses if one really changes shape. So, we would have known something about some such by having created this possible variants in the lab. But the key thing is must stay in the lab. The opponents say that, look, whatever gains you might have from this function, the risk is too much, because you don't know what you are creating and you don't know what will come out of the lab, because how can you be 100% that nothing you create in a lab, particularly monsters so small that they will not come out. How do you make sure of that? Now, what this Politico Fact research does it tells us exactly what happened, how much money it was that these American labs gave to foreign labs and to the Chinese lab, that is the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and when. And you know, there is one set of dates which I will underline to you, because I am trained as a reporter and I am suspicious. I am suspicious because if I am not suspicious in the sense that I see news value. If I see this plant or maybe these leaves, I'll try and see if there is a story. And particularly in this conspiracy ridden scenario, when I see two dates that sounds sort of interesting or linked, I cannot not see a story, and I will tell you why. So the first basic fact is that in 2014, these American institutions, NIH and NIAID, these gave a $3.4 million, that's about what, 25 crores in that ballpark, rupees, grant to New York based EcoHealth Alliance. Now EcoHealth Alliance was to use this money to fund research at institutions across the world. In fact, they work with 30 countries including Thailand, Vietnam, etc. in the same region, and of course China big time. So they were to work with these labs to help fund research on species, animal species and viruses, and how changes inside these viruses could make them jump from animal species to human beings. So new viruses jumping from animal species to human beings. So the research was very relevant to the monster that broke out on the world in November or maybe December of 2019. Then in China, specifically to Wuhan Institute of Virology, that is WIV or WIV as it's called, it gave away $5,98,000 in 5 years. Remember, 5 years. Why? It started giving this money in 2014. It stopped in 2019 because that is when this stuff has hit the fan, which means novel coronavirus has hit the fan. So after that, no money has been given. So that is one interesting date with a connection. Once again, it can just be a coincidence, but that's a date which my reporter's mind cannot take notice of. That this funding stopped just as this stuff came out of Wuhan. How it came out, where it came out, we don't know. Then this grant was made in May 2014, and those are the dates that I am interested in. And that's the reason I said that even if you showed me this plant or this leaf, I'll try and see what the story is. But when you show me these two dates, then I will stand up and I'll say, hello, there looks like a story. So in May of 2014 is when NIH and NIAID made this grant of $3.4 million to this New York based organization, EcoHealth Alliance, to give it away to labs overseas working on these viruses, which can now jump from animal species to human beings. The same year in October, 5 months after these grants were given, the same year in October 2014, President Obama banned all gain of function research in America. See, you make this grant, 5 months later, suppose what if you knew that this ban was coming, because you are part of the scientific establishment. In fact, you are the scientific establishment. So you know that this ban is coming. This gain of function research will no longer happen in America now because President Obama will ban it. So find ways of funding gain of function research elsewhere, particularly in places where you've already trained people who can do this. Now, I may be jumping to a couple of conclusions there, but I am deliberately overstating it to make a point, and this point is something that cannot be ignored, and that is the reason I am overstating the point and jumping to conclusions. Because if you see, May 2014 the grant is made, October 2014 the ban comes in, and the research goes on overseas because you can't do it at home. Although even Obama's ban had left one hole there, one hole at least the size of the American bald eagle, and that hole was that you could still carry out this research either in the interest of public health, urgent interest of public health, or for national security. And that is probably the reason why the Chinese, when they counterattack the Americans, they keep saying that, look, don't look at our labs, look at your own lab at a place called Fort Detrick in Maryland. It's a military lab where you've been carrying out this kind of research. Now, having come here, there is an article today. Dr. Anthony Fauci is saying definitely that no gain of function research was done in China, at least not with his money or his organization's money. The fact is that this political fact research tells us, and I am sharing that article with you, that in 2011 he had co-authored an article in the Washington Post that supported the idea of gain of function research. Now, once again, what do you say? A correlation is not causation, right? That's what scientists like to say. But correlations like this should not be missed. These are important because circumstantial evidence is now adding up possibly to something more interesting. Now, the political fact researchers have talked to a whole bunch of scientists who might not normally be accessible, at least to us in India, to Indian journalists. So, there is a scientist called Richard E. Bright. Richard E. Bright is professor of chemical biology at Rutgers University. We had quoted him also in our episode 748. He said that all scientific evidence, if you stack it up, is equal. Scientific evidence on both sides. One, that this is a natural virus that evolved, and second, that this is a lab created virus that escaped. Obviously, there is nothing right now pointing at biological warfare. Then there are three circumstantial evidences that are important. Number one, the site where the virus emerged. The site is Wuhan lab. So, first of all, it's Wuhan, which is far away from Yunnan. It's so far away that there is no way bats can travel that far. And also, this infections in the staff in the Wuhan virology lab broke out in November, and before that it seems that there were cases in Wuhan in September, by which time bats have gone into, any bats, even if they were anywhere close to Wuhan, they would have gone into hibernation. Bats are mammals, they hibernate. So, don't think for heaven's sake that only reptiles hibernate. Many mammals hibernate. The big American black bear also hibernates. So, many mammals also hibernate, bats hibernate. So, not only were the Yunnan bats so far away, 1000 plus kilometers away, but also any bat colonies of any kind near Wuhan were way more distant than a bat's flying range. Bats don't fly that far. They are the only mammals that fly, but they don't fly that far. And second, these infections came at a time when bats are in hibernation, so they could not have come from bats. The second thing is, again, these are circumstantial evidences that a group of miners in Yunnan who were clearing up some of the caves of bat guano, as it's called. I don't know why it's called bat guano. Maybe nobody wants to call it bat shit. That's only part of casual conversation, like saying bat shit crazy, right? So they were cleaning up bat shit in those caves in Yunnan. And many of those came up with pneumonia-like illnesses, which might resemble today's COVID-19. But then to think that from then it became this virus, that virus also did not turn out to be exactly this COVID-19 virus. That was different. And third, is again a circumstantial evidence that the biosafety level at which this research was being carried out at the Wuhan lab was not of such a high level that nothing could have escaped. And virus does not fly away. If a virus escapes, usually by infecting someone. It's possible somebody in the lab got infected and went out. Wuhan is one of the most crowded cities in the world, and this spread there and kept on spreading some time. Now, anything that you see, the first two lineages of the virus that we found, the other side says that even if a virus escaped, you couldn't have two lineages or two variants of the same virus escaping already. Variants then get developed, as now the new variants are coming up, as virus goes through from host to host. But the fact is that those two variants were found at two wet markets, but so far of all the animals studied, including frozen animals, by WHO, by the Chinese, including from the same wet markets in Wuhan, no trace of this virus or its RNA has been found anywhere. Now, the other side, skeptics also say that look, just because you don't have a reason for how the virus escaped or why the virus came from, just because you don't have a reason, you can't jump to conspiracy theories. The HIV virus, for example, it took scientists decades to find out that its primary reservoir was a rare chimpanzee population in Africa. So, maybe in this case also, we will find something. So, it doesn't mean that anything for which you don't find explanation must be a conspiracy. Now, once again, and I know I'm taking your time, but this is such a fascinating subject, and I can't make it shorter, and I can't give you telegraphic language for this. For that, you watch your prime time channels. They will also tell you who is to blame. But if you want to be bored, stay on with me, because I will give you long, boring, scientific, authentic detail on this. Now, the virus that has been identified to be the closest to this coronavirus, novel coronavirus, is something called RATG13, R, A small, R capital, TG capital, RATG13. Now, this was found on those miners who were clearing bat shit or bat guano from those caves and got pneumonia. That virus resembles this novel coronavirus greatly, to the extent of 96%. Now, when you hear that, people like us who don't know virology or science will say, pakda gaya, this is a smoking gun, range haathon pakda gaya, right? But it's not like that, because viruses have a lot of genetic detail in them. So, from 96% to become a 100% novel coronavirus would take decades of evolution. And once again, I read from scientists who say the difference between a virus which is 96% like the other one is about 400 different amino acids. So, even re-engineer it in the lab, or for it to evolve, will take a long time. For that to happen, they say there has to be a virus that is about 99 to 99.9% of the new virus that was created. So, you don't have a smoking gun. Now, this article or this research at Politico Fact also quotes MIT biologist Kevin Esvelt. And they share with us a paper that Kevin Esvelt had reviewed for them earlier in the past, which talked about gain of function research, and he said that gain of function research, that this is a possibility, but that whether it led to the formation or creation of coronavirus, we don't know. The interesting thing is that Politico Fact also reaches out to Ralph Baric. Now, obviously, he took his time getting back, because the original article did not have Ralph Baric's version, but they've updated it by putting Ralph Baric's version. So, Ralph Baric is also important, because Anthony Fauci also said that yes, there is gain of function research going on of some kinds, but it's not in China, it's actually in North Carolina, and that is Ralph Baric's lab. So, Ralph Baric says that look, can you rule out a lab escape? The answer is no, but at the same time he thinks that's very unlikely. But remember, he is one of the signatories to that letter in Science magazine asking for a fresh inquiry. Then the exact line that Fauci uses in the interview, I'm coming to the conclusion, it's a long episode of Cut the Clutter, but it's very worthwhile and important. So, I know that I can steal more of your time, because this virus, particularly the second wave, has completely altered our lives, our attitude to life. It's causing, besides physical illness, it's causing so many mental challenges across the world, especially in our country, which has now faced the worst of this menace. So, he says, Fauci says, I think that we should continue to investigate what went on in China until we find, to the best of our ability, exactly what happened. And he says it could have been something else, I don't know, but we need to find out. Now, that from Anthony Fauci is a leap. Of course, he also uses the expression for Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, that what he's saying is a ridiculous, majestic leap. Frankly, can you imagine a scientist saying that about an MP in India? There will be an immediate privilege motion in parliament, and there will be an adjustment and maramari and rona dhona after that. And as I conclude, I will also tell you, as I promised, the exact line that the National Security Council spokesperson has used in response to the Wall Street Journal article, because Wall Street Journal reporters reached out to them for their view on these new revelations. So she said, the spokesperson at the National Security Council, that serious questions about there are serious questions about the earliest days of the COVID-19 pandemic, including its origins within the People's Republic of China. We are investigating it in partnership with WHO, and all theories should be investigated. Now that is a very important statement, and remember, this has not come from Trump administration.